asked myself why this war going on so long.
Constitutes
Much longer than the previous outbreaks of violence that we've seen, and there have been many.
that the
And there's been a
politicians in this country
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh,
سوف نعيش بسلام يوقظ بي إيمان عميق سوف ننتصر يوما ما 홍기 한강야 홍기 한강야 Live in peace someday.
and I agree with him that silence constitutes complicity. I'm disappointed that the politicians in this country are not brave enough to call for an immediate ceasefire.
I asked myself why is this war going on so long? Much longer than the previous outbreaks of violence that we've seen, and there have been many. And there's been a clear path to a ceasefire and exchange of hostages and prisoners for many weeks and months. Why is this not happening? I genuinely believe a key reason is Netanyahu's attempt to stay out of court and out of prison. I genuinely believe the war is being prolonged to save his political skin. We need justice, equality and coexistence.
It's not surprising that it was South Africa, the country that suffered for decades under the evil of apartheid, that's brought the case against Israel to the International Court of Justice, accusing Israel of attempting genocide in Gaza. Have a long history of supporting the Palestinian cause. In 1977, thanking the international community for their efforts in helping to free South Africa from apartheid, Nelson Mandela said, "But we know too well that our struggle is incomplete without the freedom of Palestinians." Desmond Tutu said, "I know firsthand that Israel has created an apartheid reality within its borders and through its occupation. The parallels to my own beloved South Africa are painfully..."
I met some of the doctors that have come back from Gaza. We had a briefing in the House of Commons. So there was a packed meeting, MPs from mainly Labour, but other political parties as well. And they explained to us the situation they were working in terms of the hospitals where they'd run out of supplies. And as you know, we now know this week, children are having limbs amputated without anaesthetics because there's none left. In addition to that, one of the doctors was saying he'd been there before and he'd treated people who had been burnt by phosphorus bombs. And that is what's happening. He was treating children only a month ago, burnt by the use of phosphorus. Illegal weapons. It's heartrending, and that's why we're in these vigils, because we want a ceasefire. And the demand has to be an immediate ceasefire now, not sometime in the future, but now. Because as has been said, 25,000 people have died. 10,000 children. How can that be right by any means? This isn't the right to defend oneself. These are war crimes. I've been in Parliament nearly 25 years now, and unfortunately I've been there when wars have been declared. And I've watched, and you learn something when you're there. You learn the law. You learn about just war, the law that governs just war. After the Second World War, the Rome Statute set up the International Criminal Court. Article 8 of the Rome Statute defines war crimes. it's a war crime if you use weapons that are of an indiscriminate effect. That's what the bombings are. It's a war crime if you deprive people of the basics of life, water, food, medical supplies. It's a war crime. It's a war crime if you seek to force people from their homes and their homeland. It's a war crime. What is happening at the moment in Gaza? The indiscriminate killing of people with bombs, the starvation of people by the denial of supplies, and also the forcing, a new Nakba being demonstrated by Netanyahu to force people out of Gaza. So yes, what I believe is war crimes are being permitted at the moment, and our own government is standing by and allowing this to happen. That's not acceptable by any means. Where do we go now? Well, the first step is obviously to continue the demand for immediate ceasefire, but some have mentioned other actions as well. In Parliament at the moment, we've brought forward legislation, a number of MPs have brought forward legislation simply to ban all arms sales to Israel immediately now. Continue the vigils, continue the demonstrations, support the direct action campaign that's going on, because what we want is an immediate ceasefire. I give you that commitment. As an MP, I'll be going into Parliament, working with others and doing everything I possibly can to demand an immediate ceasefire.
As martyr Malcolm X famously said, if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. Decades later, sadly, this remains true. We stand on British soil, a country that bangs on about values like democracy and tolerance, and then champions attempts to silence indigenous voices calling for the liberation of their land and for the equal implementation of human rights, no matter their creed or race. As a Palestinian woman living in this country, I have been a victim of this. I have been often silenced, called a genocide, a terrorist sympathizer, etc. Simply because I am unapologetic in the fact that I demand my land from the river to the sea to be free, and for all Israelis to either become Palestinians and treat us equally. I don't think that's really too much to ask, but hey, it is because we stand on British soil that we all have a duty in times like these to stand firmly in opposition to unjust, inhumane policies in all of our spaces. That includes personal and professional. And I applaud our MP who've come here today to speak about this. Him in his personal space has come, and in his professional space is campaigning on behalf of Palestine. I hope we can all take a leaf out of his book and do the same.
Israel's genocide, in addition to 25,000 Palestinian civilians, in addition to 60,000 injured. Much of Gaza has been destroyed, as you know. Racism and discrimination are obvious signs of Israel's occupation. We Palestinians are not people of a lesser God. We believe in Allah as the creator, so no one has a right to maintain monopoly to God. That's why I said at the beginning, we are also the chosen people.